What if I told you there was a firm out there converting 98% of their wanted cases into signed contracts? You heard me right, 98%.
You always have to capture what the very most important thing is on the intake call if you want to have a 98% conversion rate.
You'd probably tell me I was lying, but today's guest has the data to back it up, and she's going to talk about the transformation her business has made over the last 6 years to get that incredible 98%.
You have to determine what's the most important thing to that client to seal the deal. That's the most important question during an intake call.
This is Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm Chris Stryer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io, the elite performance marketing agency for personal injury law firms. Today, we have Carol-Lynn Roman on the show, and she has been in the personal injury business for over 30 years. Her firm, Roman Austin, recently hit the Inc. 5000 list, and they did it completely rethinking the traditional law firm model. They've got a massive commitment to boots on the ground, community building, and a unique phase-based workflow that has supercharged their average case value. You are definitely going to want to take notes on this, so let's get into it. I like to kick things off with a win. What's something you're excited about, something going on with the firm that you're implementing or you'd like to share?
Sure. So we're real excited that we made the Inc. 5000 list last year, which was really great. We've had exponential growth. We attribute that to a lot of different things, both in development and marketing and in operations. But we're just excited about the continued growth in revenue, but also in just supporting our community. That's really a touchstone for us, and we continue to grow that part of our practice as well.
That's incredible. And the Inc. 5000, it's weighted on 3 years. So it's 3 years of nice growth.
That's exactly right. Yep. And our growth really kind of started in 2022 when we made a conscious decision. We had kind of a rebranding. We had a partner lead the firm, and we had a couple of defense lawyers join the firm, which made a big difference. We made some reorganizational issues, our structure. We completely reorganized our team. What I mean by that is that we used to have a traditional structure of case managers. And instead, now we work off of what phase the case is in. So we have a lot more teammates working on one case at one time, and they're specialists at that certain phase of the case. And we found that the client just got a lot more attention, and so that really raised the value of our cases incredibly. So
I'm going to save that one because I'm going to dig into that one. That's really interesting. I'm going to come back to that one.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the audience listening, they want to hear how you're getting the opportunities, right? How you think about marketing in general. How has your approach to marketing changed? Like, how do you think about attracting the right cases to the firm?
Well, we're pretty old school. You know, we go all the way back to the Yellow Page days. And we obviously that's, dinosaur years. But when that changed, then we dove into SEO, and I guess about 2010, but we didn't do it. I mean, it was just different then, right? It wasn't as vast, and we didn't invest as much in it, so we didn't get as much back from it. And we just eventually decided in 2020 that we needed to capture our reputation when someone's actually looking for someone like our firm. And we knew that the digital presence was the only way to do that, and so we went all in heavily with SEO. We times 5'd our budget and went in with a really big agency, and they brought us to the next level. We just really believe in it. We're not a billboard firm. You won't see us on billboards. You'll see us in the community, helping others, and we just find that super valuable, and that's just part of our brand. Billboards are not our vibe. TV's not our vibe. Radio's not our vibe. We just think that when someone's looking, when they've been seriously injured, they're going to do their research. They're either going to go to a professional, they're an estate planning lawyer, or maybe their divorce lawyer, or their pastor, or their neighbor, or a doctor, or someone that they trust. And if they don't have that resource, then they're going to go online, and that's when you have to capture basically who you are online, and you have to find a partner who can do that really well. The bottom line is I think that trust is built offline, but it's captured online. And so we recognize that, and we went all in with it, and, reviews, reputation, all of it. So.
Yeah. And your reputation's stellar.
Thank
across the board, 5-star reviews. And we're talking like 1,000 plus. I didn't total them up, but I mean, we're a ton of reviews.
Yeah,
so
it's
that
in
speaks
excess
to
of
that.
1,000 reviews, and we are really proud of all 6 locations have a 5.0.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's super rare. That's very uncommon. Let's talk about the kind of get that top of funnel, like being a part of the community. I did some research. I saw, the free hats at this Safety Harbor craft beer event. I see other boots on the ground initiatives. Like, how do you select which events to
Sure.
participate in? Talk to me about the grassroots and like your
Sure.
strategy there.
Well, youth sports, we love schools. We're doing a lot for teachers. We bring lunches to teachers a lot. We just want to essentially brand the idea. And we're not asking for business here. We're just like,
Yeah.
how can we help the community? And we're at youth sports leagues, like I said, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. We have a large initiative in the cycling community called Not Just a Cyclist, where we spread awareness about the joint responsibility of cyclists
Hmm.
and motorists and sharing the road. And we do events for that. And those are free. And we do community rides. Everybody shows up. Hundreds of people come for these rides. And then, we show up around our offices, we show up at like Third Friday type events and those sorts of things, just so that people can meet us. And if they have legal questions, we can answer them. But really, it's just about being available, but also giving back, because we really feel a responsibility to do that. And it's not just about branding. We really do feel a community responsibility.
I think that's noble. That's awesome. That's amazing, and being a part of your community. On the employee side, does it kind of carry over? Do you feel like they just love these events? It gives them kind of some purpose outside of just the work. Have you seen that
Absolutely.
impact on the employees?
100%. I know I have a marketing team that comes and, puts up the tents and does all of that. And it used to be where we just had our paralegals going with us. And when I made the change and said, "Oh, I don't want you guys to feel the burden of that after hours and all of that." And they're like, "Well, no, we still want to go." And
Oh.
so that says a lot, right? That
Hmm.
the paralegals are no longer required to go, but they still want to go. And I think that's because we've built in our culture the idea that giving back to the community is a corporate responsibility.
That's amazing. That the values. Everybody wants to do it. They're not thinking about on the clock. So that's awesome. They go the extra mile. And let's kind of move on to intake
Sure.
sales.
Yes.
What tech
I'd
stack
love
you
to talk about intake.
using? Well, yeah, dig in.
Intake's my favorite thing to talk about. So let's dig
Let's
into
go. Let's go. Let's get
that.
some metrics. Do you mind sharing some metrics? Like
Sure.
what metrics do you look at intake, and like what
We
are
look
some
at all
targets
of
you're
it.
aiming
We look
for?
at average fee per case. We look at cost per lead, cost per acquisition. We look at all of it, and I'm really proud of all of those numbers. And we look at wanted percentages, conversion rates, all of that. And now I should tell you that we have a partner in that. That really has brought us up to speed, and that's Legal Intake Pros. I'm sure you
Yep.
know you
Yep.
Smith.
Yanni. Mm-hmm.
We use Filevine and Lead Docket.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of stumbled with Lead Docket we bought it and then we tried to do it ourselves and we just weren't doing a good job with it. And I heard Yanni on a podcast and I was like, oh man, I gotta talk to her. So eventually I talked to her one time. I was just going to have her set it up because I was like, well, I don't want to spend, that every month. That's like an employee, right? But then what I realized is that's the best spend of I'm never letting that team go. They are going to be my partner in like perpetually because they have such high value. Yes, they set the entire thing up. And then what I mean by that is webhooks and all that. So we know exactly where our marketing sources are coming from or contact sources. All of it is just, it's precise. And then of course they train the intake team entirely, but having them on board, they listen to all the calls. I don't have to do that anymore. I mean, I used to listen to all the calls, literally, like because we have
Mm-hmm.
call rail, and so I would say, oh, well, we need to get together because you did this one wrong, and let me explain why this is a better sell and that sort of thing. I don't do any of that anymore, and they're the experts at it. So that's been such a great partnership for sure, is having them, and that will continue. And they do monthly reviews with you, and they oh my gosh, it's just. And they meet with my teammates every week. They do training every week with every single team member. And what makes us unique about our intake, I will say, is that we are 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
A team member from here
Mm-hmm.
answers the phone 24/7. So my intake team is 6 strong. So once every 6 weeks, someone's on call for those after hours and weekend calls, and they take the the laptop home and they answer all the calls, and the attorneys, there's a Slack thread if there's a good lead, and the attorney jumps on the phone. That's another thing that makes us unique is attorneys talk to every single potential new client in our office.
Really? Every single one?
Every single one.
Wow. So you probably heard me on the pod say, hey, you don't need a bunch of attorneys on the intake. And you're like, no, that works for
No, no,
me.
no. Well, we do. It's just our vibe. It's what works for us. The attorneys are giving our clients cell numbers, and we're still okay with that. And we've scaled a lot. It hasn't gotten out of control. Now, maybe we talk in a couple of years from now, and I say, yeah, well, maybe we're not doing that as much anymore, or maybe we have an associate who's just doing it, and the partners aren't doing it anymore. But right now, it works. Whoever's available. We don't have like an attorney on call. Whoever's available jumps into the intake thread if there's a good lead and says, I'm available, or I can be available in 2 hours. Please set up the call, or, that sort of thing.
If you have an attorney jump on the call, do they take over that call? Do they take over that case? Or is there I guess where I'm asking is, if they're incentivized to take the calls because, hey, they're getting a bigger book of business, that's one thing. Or is it just the values and they understand the importance of it?
Both.
Both.
It's both. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if obviously if it goes into their cache of cases, then they're going to be incentivized to, that's just the way our structure works for sure. I mean, it's not just, that's the way our partnership works, that they get a piece of the action, when the case is solved. So, but I will also say there's no bickering about it. Like there's no, it just works well. Nobody's like fighting for the commercial case call that comes in. It's not like that. That's not our values. We all row the boat together and celebrate wins that each of the partners have. And so it has not been competitive at all, which is great.
That's fantastic. I on the other side with many of our clients say that the attorneys don't want to be involved in intake at all. Right. So a lot of the clients are very resistant to that. And I think there is a lot of value because a lot of times the consumer wants to talk to the attorney. Although, it is more costly. You got those hourly rates for the attorneys are certainly higher, but it's definitely working for you.
Well, what we have found is that when our clients have a personal relationship with their attorney from the beginning, that our average fee per case goes up. Period. Because they're talking to the lawyer's guiding them. We have case managers that manage treatment, but it's not the same. I mean, if they are hearing from their attorney about treatment management, it just has a whole nother layer of power and education. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I don't think we'll ever change that about our firm. I think because it's so integral to who we are, that the clients, potential new clients, talk to a lawyer. And honestly, our conversion rate is 98%. Wanted lead.
Wow. That's unicorn land. That's the highest I've heard. That's fantastic.
And that's because they're talking to lawyers and they are getting the attention. And now after the call is done with the attorney, then they punt it back to intake to send the rep agreements or schedule a hospital appointment or an in-office. I mean, it just depends. You have to determine what's the most important thing to that client to seal the deal. That's the most important question during an intake call. What's most important to them? Is it that they meet their lawyer? Is it that we help them with their medical treatment? Is it that, oh my gosh, they don't have their minivan to make sure their kids get to school next week, so we're going to help them get a rental right away? You always have to capture what the very most important thing is on the intake call if you want to have a 98% conversion rate, and you address that immediately.
There is a ton of wisdom there. Thank you for sharing that. Because it is ultimately about them, and then that builds the trust.
That's exactly right. And then they can look online at reviews, and we have a lot of video testimonials. We send a lot of assets to them through Lead Docket, which is great. We send videos, we send photos, links about who we are. But again, Legal Intake Pros has been great. We had great intake before. It's funny, my marketing agency last year told me, she said, I don't think anybody does intake like you guys. And I mean, she was, because, she would talk, well, intake is bad, or, people aren't securing leads. And she's like, but not you. I've heard your calls. And we really go the extra mile to make sure that clients feel heard, and that whatever is most important to them is immediately addressed.
Do you do any field dispatch? Like somebody's having trouble signing up. Do you get the team member in the car and go with the iPad, sign them up?
We do
you know,
not send investigators to sign up clients.
yeah,
Not our vibe.
yeah.
The lawyer goes.
Lawyer goes.
Lawyer goes.
Wow. That's great. That's a unique selling proposition. That's a lot different than most of your competitors. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned it earlier. We were talking about ops. Your fees have increased. We talked
Yes.
about how, hey, you meet the attorney early. They can get them to treatment. That has an impact. What were some of the other things that you've done that you've seen? Like, hey, we did this, and then it had an impact. It was like, what are some of the things you've done to increase fees?
I think that to increase fee, just generally case value is just staying in touch with the clients. Every 30 days, they have to speak to their case manager. And of course, there's lots of text messages in between that. But they have their, again, the attorney's cell phone number. We're very intimately involved with all of the doctors and making sure they get the care they need. We're sending to the best doctors. We're not sending to doctors that maybe other larger volume firms are sending to. Insurance carriers know that we are a trial firm and that we will litigate the case and get a big verdict. Mark's a board certified civil trial lawyer. That really matters. He has been one, I think, for 18 years. John needs one more trial, and then he sits for the test. So we're super excited about him becoming board certified this year. And then Miles is right behind him. I think he needs maybe 2 or 3 more trials. So that matters, because insurance companies recognize that. They recognize board certification, and that affects the value of a case. They know we'll try the case. Even if the case is worth 100 or 200, we'll try the case. We will not take less than the full value of the case. And I think that's why our average fee per case is what it is. And by the way, I will say also, I always throw out the outlier. I always throw out the largest verdict, because I think it's unfair each year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We do that when we're looking at our data for our agency. We'll exclude the top 3 and the bottom 3.
Yeah.
And we try to, I think it's the mean and the median. I'm trying to think of how the CFO talks got to me. And talk to me earlier, you mentioned, and I said, hey, we'd circle back to it. You said, hey, you have the different phases. So does that mean hey, you have someone that leads up the pre-lit?
Yeah, I can tell you, I can go through it with you. So when it calls in, they're talking to an intake manager. Then once they're signed up, and that intake manager does a lot of the questionnaire, gets a lot of the data, even claim numbers and all that stuff, pushes that to our file opener, who does a complete insurance and liability investigation. And that person only does that. And then and that person's working alongside, because you got to see how big the swimming pool is, right? That's the bottom line. How much coverage is there? Because in the state of Florida, I don't know if you know this, but we don't. Somebody could be really injured and we might not be able to recover for them, because there might not be any insurance. Bodily injury liability coverage is not required in the state of Florida. So we're looking. So that first phase, that insurance investigator, liability investigator, is identifying how much coverage there is for the case, and then it moves on to at the same time, the case manager is talking to the client and helping them with what's most important to them, which could be property damage, but it's also, of course, their injuries, and making sure that they get the care that they need, and helping them schedule doctor's appointments and all of that, and talking to them. And that's all the case manager does. The case manager their whole job is to make sure that whatever the client needs, the client gets. And then it moves on to a demand preparation assistant. We go to a demand writer, and then it goes to a negotiation team, which is headed up by the attorney who leads that team. And then it goes to a settlement coordinator. And then, of course, if it goes into litigation, if it is not negotiated, then we have an entire lit team. And that team has paralegals, legal assistants, and support. as well to make sure that bottom line is what we have found is more hands, the better. At first we were resistant to that. We're like, oh, overhead, we're nervous adding people. But we just decided, you know what? If there's a need and this isn't getting done and this is a pain point in our office, that means it's somebody's job.
Mm-hmm.
That pain point is someone's job. So that's how we decided to split it all up.
You know, a lot of businesses, they talk about the pods and the cross-functional. It's kind of the unit. It has the benefit of the communication because there's less silos, but you know, the downside is there's less expertise.
That's right.
And
These are specialists in just
yeah,
one phase of the case.
that's the thing that I constantly say. Everyone's like, "Oh, Chris, we got to do pods." I'm like, well, you know, you lose expertise in the immersion and all that. So I'm with you. I think that's great. And then it does, you know, as long as you have the case management and all the inputs and the Slack, then you can maintain and the collaboration.
That's right. And Lead Docket helps with all that too. And we have a timeline. I'm sorry, not Lead Docket, Filevine. Filevine is really great for this type of atmosphere. And it's by phase, by the way. It's kind of by design. So we built it out, our Filevine out to transition by phase. So once it hits a new phase, then the new team member is added and gets the messages and that sort of thing. And interesting, what we also I'm super excited about is that we are adding something called the client portal to our Filevine. So every time the phase of the case changes, they'll get a video. And Mark is doing all these great videos about this is the phase of the case, and this is what you can expect. There's FAQs that they get sent. So that cuts down on comms some because they are able to go to this portal and get the information they need very quickly. They also can upload documentation to that. And so it's really nice. The client portal is something that it's been kind of a baby that we've been nurturing for the last year, and I can't wait to launch it. It's just about ready. I'm reviewing the last videos tomorrow with our marketing team, which by the way, we have a whole marketing team too. So we have a social media person, a videographer, marketing director, all that. So
Incredible.
Yeah.
The client portal, is that native to Filevine?
It is. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I'd never heard of that. So
Yeah.
you know,
I think that they got wind of Hona
Mm.
and they basically built Hona within Filevine. And we were signed on with Hona, and then all of a sudden we heard about Portal, and I'm like, oh, it's integrated. This is better.
Mhm.
It just made more sense. So we switched back over.
Makes a ton of sense. I really want to talk about the team, right? You know, how do you find, retain top talent? Like talk to me about like finding these excellent. You said you hired some former prosecutors. You've
Yes,
got
former
people that are
defense lawyers.
former
Yeah,
defense lawyers and
for insurance carriers. So from the top, that's what we did. That was a great decision. You know, they know the playbook. And I was a little nervous at first about that because you have to have a plaintiff sentimentality
Mm.
in order to represent plaintiffs really well. A lot of empathy and compassion. And so I was a little nervous about going in that direction, but man, we nailed it. We got the best of both worlds with these guys. They're empathetic, compassionate, but they know the other side. And they push cases. They use the accelerator. They just push the cases through, get trial dates, get depositions, get the media. I mean, they're just constantly pushing. So I'm super. They're amazing. And they both became partners within a year each. That's how great they did.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was great hires, and that was in 22. And then how we basically organize the rest of our team is what I decided is that if you want to keep people, right, you have to figure out what's most important to them, and that is different for everybody. But you also have to pay them more than anyone else will.
True.
I don't care what anybody says. Like, I know Fireproof's like 80%. You only have to pay, they have a completely different structure, but we just pay really well. And we have a quarterly bonus system based on KPIs. So they're in charge of their own destiny. And the KPIs are specific to their case phase. And, they each have like 12 or 14 KPIs they have to meet. And it's a point system. So our bonus system is based on firm KPIs. That's 50% of it in terms of revenue, right? Should be. And then 50% is based on their individual KPIs based on their goals. And also we do the rocks thing too that Fireproof recommends, which is we give people certain jobs, and if they don't, do those jobs in that quarter, then that's going to be points deducted and that sort of thing. But everybody carries their rock because they want those points. And I think that it's really great because even if they miss like 3 points, they're like, "Gosh, I can't believe I missed 3 points," and they really care about it. So that took some time, and that was hard. And by the way, every at the end of each quarter, it takes me a long time to do those evaluations, but they are so worth it. And I have finally figured out that I can delegate to the department heads those now too. So that's getting some things off my plate, which has been great. And then that way too, that the teams are, I guess that's a pod, I don't know, but the teams are kind of rowing the boat together, and they know they have to report directly to somebody other than just me, because let's face it, as it grows, you can't be everything everywhere all at once. So happy to have the department heads take on that as well. But those scorecards have been instrumental in keeping team members happy, keeping them incentivized, and keeping them paid very, very well. And that's how you keep employees. You pay them well, and you figure out what's important to them. Like maybe one person's, it's important to them that they come in at 7 a.m. and leave at 4 because of, I don't know why, their kids or something. So, and you say, okay, well, we're going to make that work. And you make it work.
I think that's fantastic. And you set those expectations and have the KPIs to make those objective decisions as opposed to subjective, which are always the tough ones, the I thinks.
Yes.
So we talked about something you're excited about that you implemented. What about the future vision? Any big plans? Anything you want to share on the horizon?
Sure. Well, my marketing director just popped in here and said, we're going to start Intaker. I just had a meeting with Intaker, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about finishing the client portal. I'm excited about our continued revenue growth. We're already killing it this first quarter. We're already meeting our goals. And so just continued growth, but also continuing to nurture our team and to stay true to our core values, which is really serving the injured in the Tampa Bay area. We've been doing it for 30 years. We don't want to change who we are. And we're committed to those core values and not changing, but growing and using demand AI and using all of the things that are happening that are helpful to us to make us better, but not taking away from the true authenticity of how this firm was raised is really important to us. So
amazing.
That's what we're excited about. Yep.
Amazing. This has been a masterclass. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the transparency. For our audience listening that has a question about the pod, wants to get in touch, wants to refer a case to you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Best way to get in touch, you can go to our website, romanaustin.com. You can always fill out a little form. But you can also reach me by email anytime, croman@romanaustin.com. I'm always available. I'm always excited to talk about operations or marketing or even legal things. And if we can help in any way, anybody who needs anything in the Tampa Bay area, we're happy to do it.
Amazing. Thanks, Carol-Lynn. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What a masterclass from Carol-Lynn Roman. There's so much to take away from this episode, from ditching traditional pods to structuring your team by case phase to trying specific KPIs to a quarterly bonus system so that you can retain top talent. When you combine a 98% wanted conversion rate with an operations machine that runs that smoothly, you're going to see amazing results. If you want to dominate your market with the right leads, then Rankings can help. Head over to rankings.io to claim your completely free audit. We'll show you exactly where you stand and what it takes to own your market. I'm Chris Stryer. Thanks for listening to Personal Injury Mastermind. We'll catch you next time.